Well, hello. It's me, and it's him. There.
Hello.
See? Yeah. We're here. And, well, I think that stream that we did the other night was pretty fucking good fun, actually.
I think it was, yeah.
We had close to 15,000 people watching us live, so that's getting close to an open bar record, actually. If we can
Yeah,
crack
it's
the
like,
50.
if that's for because of She-Hulk covers, like, guys, we got plenty more She-Hulk left, so plenty of fun ahead.
Well, the next one, I suppose, we'll probably be covering Rings of Power, won't we?
And She-Hulk? Or...
Well, I mean, I think Rings of Power is just this black hole that's going to suck everything else into it, isn't it? Like,
it's going to be awkward if the first episode is pretty, like, uneventful. Just be like a couple of characters walking around and be like, oh.
I love the idea that in some reality out there in the multiverse, like the first episode is a fucking extravaganza of awesomeness, and we're like blown away by how good it is, and we're just eating our words. Like, holy shit, Amazon, always forgiven. You've nailed it. Well done.
Was that situation in it where it's like someone could say like, you have no reason not to think that? It's like a lot of meta information that would point to otherwise. Trailers, interviews, comments, producers, the nature of this whole thing happening. Yeah, if you ignore all that, it could still be pretty good.
Yeah, just go into it with like some kind of blind optimism. But everything will be good. It's like Amazon know what they're doing. It'll be fine. But yeah, obviously we had a shit ton of super chats come in that night, so we should probably get cracking on them, eh? See if we can get through them. All right, cool. So I did my research and found where we were last time. So the first one that we got is Toonie Boy, who says the open bar has the only resource that the world has too much of: girls.
A classic line.
Yeah, Dreykov said it. We didn't, but yeah, we had 4 of them on, and it was great. Like Melanie, Chrissy, Anna, Nina. They were all good guests, so it was a good chat.
You ever heard of like people? There was this post that was like, you laugh at the movie Black Widow and stuff, but it's because you're a man. You never understand that having your autonomy taken away from you is something women experience all the time. That's what movies about. It's just like, just stop. Just stop. It's a really bad movie. Like, don't. It's that I got a line like this in the video where I was like, why simp for this when there's that right there? Just go for go for better things.
Yeah, it's it's like just because it's got a girl in it and it's trying to like tackle issues doesn't mean it's good. There's better movies out there. Stephen Bobo says, "Hey, Critical Drinker, this question is to you and Chrissy." Oh, sorry, I'll have to be just for me. Have you guys heard about the whole Brendan Schaub controversy? What are your guys' opinions on it?
I'm not familiar.
I've never heard of that name before. Let me just look it up. I'm braced for like some horror confronting me here. Right, so he's a podcast host. So he was an MMA fighter, retired in 2015. He's been performing stand-up comedy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what his controversies are. Doesn't seem to be anything here that I know about. Yeah, sorry, man. I don't know. I'll have to leave that one for now. Big Rog gave me a thumbs up, so here's one for you, man. Thank you. Black Sun says Kamaru got knocked the fuck out. What's that from?
I don't know.
Fucker Wolf 190 says, "Greetings, guys. Drinker, did you have the chance to watch Sherlock Holmes with Jeremy Brett? I think he was the quintessential Holmes. Cheers." I've seen various like iterations of Dr. Holmes. Oh, sorry, Sherlock Holmes over the years, but what's this one? Sherlock Holmes, Jeremy Brett. See if this is one that I've seen. So, right. So this one's from way back in 1984. No, I don't think I've seen that one. Yeah, so that was a TV series, and damn, yeah, they did a lot of episodes for that. Yeah, 36 episodes they did. That's pretty cool, actually. Shit ton of Sherlock Holmes mysteries. But yeah, I don't think I'm familiar with that. It was probably a little bit before my time. Gleeman says, can't wait to see Tolkien's version of the Virgin Mary not know who she is without a sword and maybe have a fling with the right hand of Satan. Oh, that line from the trailer. Put down your
Yeah.
sword, Galadriel. Without it, who am I? Have you seen the meme where there's just like Will Smith just pointing out like Galadriel from Lord of the Rings? Like, that's who you are without your sword.
Yeah. Maybe that'll be the arc or something. She's more than it's not going to be the arc. That is not going to be the arc.
No. What a shitty thing for a character like her to say as well.
Yeah.
Or to make that character say in a really fake kind of way. Like, what am I without my sword? Is that how you define yourself? Fucking hell. Waylon Bucephus said, watch Once Upon a Time in the West. You guys will love it. Henry Fonda as a cold-blooded murderer. Jason Robards as a charismatic outlaw. So that was Sergio Leone who did that. And it was like the movie he did after the Dollars trilogy, I think. That's one I haven't seen, but like a lot of people have recommended it to me. So I don't know, man. Like, I know you've watched Unforgiven, but are you kind of across westerns as a genre or not really?
I haven't seen as many as I'd like to have, but I've seen a couple. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure I've seen that one.
Frozen in the 80s said, Hail Drinker, have you seen the trailer for the new season of Cobra Kai, and how pumped are you for more Johnny Lawrence? I'm always pumped for Johnny Lawrence, and the trailer looks good, man. Diano says, great guest lineup. Thank you. It was great to have them on. Unhinged says, Critical Drinker as Hot Rod Happy Hour. Make it so. I fucking love Hot Rod. I don't know if you've seen it more.
Yeah, I've seen Hot Rod. I'd join you for that if you did one, for sure.
Oh, there we go. Ian McShane and Andy Samberg. That's a good pairing. Like,
yeah.
Patrice said, TBF, it's very comparable to Deadpool from the X-Men Origins Wolverine from a comedic point of view.
What,
is
Hot
that
Rod?
She-Hulk? No, This is a new super chat. I assume they're talking about She-Hulk and just how it's like unintentionally, like it's trying to be funny, but it's not, and all that shit. So, a Chernobog says it's more like Malcolm in the Middle with her talking to the camera, except much less funny and no Bryan Cranston.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a pretty big loss there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think we really talked about this, but like, what's your opinion of the whole like breaking the fourth wall and like talking straight to the camera?
So it's a classic of like, how is it to be interpreted? Is it literal? Is she actually at some point in the show going to say, I know that we're being watched and this is like a TV show? Or is it just a representation of her inner thoughts? She's almost speaking to her conscience or maybe of herself, I don't know exactly what they'll do with it or what they're going for, or if it literally is just there to be like, she did in the comics. I don't know. We're doing it here. Hopefully they'll do something meaningful with it.
I mean, it's weird because at one point, like Bruce reacts to it, like she's talking to the camera, and he's like, "What?" Okay, so now you're playing with the idea that like other characters are aware of her doing this. I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I think you kind of brought this up in your Doctor Strange review, where it's almost like you should just view every movie now and every TV show in the MCU as just kind of existing in its own pocket universe where it doesn't really, interact with anything else. Because they seem to have their own rules and their own like ways of doing things.
The Rise of She-Hulk said like everyone's gotten over the blip. It's fine. We're moving on. It's like what?
Yeah. I can guarantee no fucks were given in the writing of She-Hulk. Like that was literally the lowest effort garbage that you could put out.
Yeah.
Drive-by commenter says, been thinking about the throwaway death in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom versus Wayne Knight in the first film. What would you say is the minimum required to invest concern in even a minor character's life? Okay, so Wayne Knight was Nedry, wasn't he?
I mean, that fucker brought it on himself. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
If they're comparing that with, they said Fallen Kingdom?
Yeah, so the throwaway death in Fallen Kingdom.
Well, because most people cite the Jurassic World one, right? The babysitter who gets annihilated.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting, because I think that's a fair question. Like, what is the criticism there? And it's like, well, it's a bizarre thing for an audience member to see. A woman who what do we know about her in total? It's like, well, she was set to look after these two kids. They ran off from her. They literally trick her and run away. She finally finds them. She's been terrified. She's trying to get them safety, and then she gets given possibly the most gruesome death across all of the movies. At least one of them. Which, to the honest, is just like, why did you do that?
Well, I think, yeah, because it's like, normally that's the kind of death that would be reserved for a villainous character.
Yeah.
It's like almost morally justified, like, well, they deserved it because they were bad. But with her, it's like she's literally just an innocent person doing her job. So, like, it really feels like she doesn't deserve such a protracted, gruesome
And I think
death.
that's
like
the
that.
key, is the deserving part. And someone could be like, so what? Nedry deserved to be eaten? It's like, I mean, he deserved comeuppance of some kind for doing such just dastardly acts, right? I'm not going to say he should have had what happened to him, but it was all brought upon himself by himself, so you don't feel as conflicted about it. But with her, you're just like, oh, geez, was I supposed to enjoy that? I didn't enjoy that. Like, that was not fun.
I mean, it would work better if it was like a much more serious movie where it's like, well, okay, horrible things can happen to good people because that's the nature of this disaster that's unfolding. But like, it's kind of a light-hearted movie in a lot of ways. Like, it's not meant to be taken too seriously, and it's like, you got Chris Pratt.
I think it's
adventures.
We usually think it's safe to assume the good guys will be hurt and they'll come close to dying, but they'll make it, and the villains will get some kind of death where they're eaten by a dinosaur. That's typically what happens. But then you get these deaths here and there. They're just like, ooh, all right. I think when they have civilian deaths or innocent people deaths, they're usually relatively quick. This one was not quick.
No. It's like, I don't know, man. Did the actress really piss off someone? Like, when she was on set, like, we're gonna put you through the mill on this. Jar of Mayo says, when are we getting the life-size blow-up doll of the drinker? And it better say, go away now. You might have to wait a little bit of time for that, but there will be a second-generation drinker plushie coming out fairly soon, so watch this space. Bullet Shepherd says, I'm going to go for the trifecta of misogynies and say that Nina, Chrissy, and Melanie are hot, feminine, quality women. Well, there you go. That's a good comment, sir. Great Reek says, Hail Drinker, Mauler, and Gals. This is a question for the ladies, if they see it in time, which unfortunately they haven't. What is the most offensively bad pandering to ladies that you've ever seen? I mean, we should try and answer this, I guess, since they're not here.
Surely the endgame scene, would that be one of the worst?
It's it's pretty bad. I think as well, like, the obvious, like, Captain Marvel, Admiral Holdo from Star Wars.
I mean, She-Hulk is, it's up there. But yeah, I think the world seemed to agree on the Avengers one, the Endgame one. Everybody was like, that was dumb.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Afro Frycook says, I would have also liked if she had complained about petty catty women gossiping as well as dudes catcalling. So
that might have helped it out, actually, if she'd thrown in some of the small level stuff of, like, maybe women getting too competitive or this, that, and the other that gets in the way as well, just to make it feel like it's a series of things she goes through in her life. But I think the ultimate fix was to actually see all of it in a way that's a lot less overt, just tough life stuff. Yep. And the last person she fucking says this to is Bruce Banner. That was a big, big, big mistake.
I know. It was really funny watching Angry Joe try and defend that.
Yeah.
Joe, you're on shaky ground there, mate.
Yeah, I haven't seen his follow-up video.
It was like it was a pretty strong coping session. It was basically like, yes, I totally understand that, seeing a woman complain about this stuff that annoys her really triggers you, and I understand, and I'm so sympathetic about that. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'm trying to apologize, but like simultaneously mocking everyone who's criticized me.
You did watch it then, did you? Because I haven't seen it yet.
I watched his follow-up video because I was just curious about it. I knew there was a bit of a controversy about it, and it was just kind of, I'm right, and you shouldn't criticize me.
What's interesting about Joe, I'll just be like, dude, the show was shit. Like, it's got a lot more to do with than just the because everyone seems to be talking about the messaging, right? But there was like really shitty writing in it in general. The fact that the first scene we spot with Bruce and her, he's just like, oh yeah, so I made a thing that makes me human now. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And then the next time we see him after the crash, yeah, so my arm's healed. Ah,
I think, yeah, and I think he was demonstrating a real lack of understanding of what was going on, because you know that infamous scene where she's, saying like, "Well, I have to like practice restraint infinitely more than you do, Bruce."
yeah.
The one that everyone's bitching about, and then she transforms into the Hulk, and so Joe was trying to argue that, well, that's her demonstrating that she doesn't have self control, and like the show's actually critiquing the character. But then what he misses out is that she instantly transforms back into human Jen and straight up says to Bruce, like, "I'm fully in control of when and how I transform."
Yeah,
So
I would even argue, dude, the Hulk is like, aha, see, you're out of control, and then she almost just tricked him. She's like, yeah, that's what you think, but I'm not.
yeah,
And that's the
and
that's the show validating her completely. The show wants to let you know that she's fine. She's got this.
like you say, yeah, of all the fucking hills to die on, why this? Like, I could maybe see something like Prey. It's like, okay, you can kind of make the argument that there's a lot of good things there, but fucking She-Hulk, man, why would you try to defend this?
I don't know. I feel sometimes that they'll defend any of it, so whatever.
Yeah. Cannon Folderall says, She-Hulk, see how empowered I am by being perpetually victimized. Also, it's all the fault of men, not my own character flaws, that I'm unhappy. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get more of this like going forward, but it kind of seems like, yeah, like she lives a bit of an empty life. Like even before she transformed, like, yeah, you're a lawyer, but like you're on your own. You probably live like in a an empty apartment without much to look forward to in life. Like, is that really a great thing to aspire to? Doesn't seem like it.
I mean, we got a whole TV show. They have plenty of time to explore a character. Will they? That's a whole other thing.
Yeah. Poopa Chalupa says, where is the downside to her being a Hulk at will? Yeah, that's a pretty good question.
Well,
She can
so
try.
the show's trying to say the downside is that she's expected to help people, which is like,
Yeah,
oh,
imagine
damn.
imagine that being expected to like use your power to help others. Yeah, like I was. Even if you just suggested that there was some kind of resource cost to this, like when she transforms back into human form, she's like exhausted or something, or like whatever injuries she might have tanked as the Hulk, like start to like weigh on her a little bit as a human Jen. But it just seems like no, it's really easy, and it's she can just do it whenever she feels like it. That's really weak, weak writing.
Yeah.
Kiki Hideout says 4D ladies. No offense. Why is catcalling now seen as harassment? The R word before or after Me Poo and SJWs isn't it just partially just flirting and banter? I mean, they could probably answer this better than I could. Like, I can sort of get like, if you're a girl who leaves a bar on her own late at night and there's like a big group of guys there who start being like, "Oh, hey, come over and talk to us," you might be, a little bit
Bit freaked out.
intimidated. And
Yeah.
like that's probably not what the kind of shit you want to be dealing with. And I know as well as most people, like drunk people can turn pretty fucking violent quickly if you say the wrong thing to them. So yeah, that kind of shit is obviously not great. But like, yeah, there's banter and there's flirting. And sometimes the line between that and like going too far and insisting on someone is not always obvious, particularly when there is booze involved and you're at bars and stuff like that. But man, it feels like a bit of a, I don't know, man. The show tries to equate things that aren't really comparable sometimes. Nathan Cassidy says the people that claim she had adrenaline to aid her are the same people that cannot answer the question, "What is a woman?" Are we talking about her ripping the car door off?
I mean,
Maybe.
I checked it out. It's one of those situations where it's like unclear exactly what happened. So if you go best faith possible, she just opened it. But as you said, I think in a stream, it looked like it got mangled a bit. And when that happens, like you got to be strong to pry open stuff like that. But I guess she got lucky, or she got a spike of adrenaline. Sure, okay.
I would have respected the show so much more if they'd just been able to say, like, she gets hurt and Bruce has to help her. Like, he hulks up and he's able, like, maybe the car is like, pinning her down or something. She's trapped in the wreckage and he has to turn into Hulk form to get her out. And
That'd have been great as a payoff, man. To like, she's bleeding and he's got to act fast, so he has to release the Hulk sort of thing.
yeah, but it's like, it's just, I don't know, man. It really feels like, I mean, I've said this before with Marvel, not just this show, but kind of anything that they produce now. I think there's a set of rules that are really strictly enforced about how male and female characters can interact, and I honestly think one of them is like a female can't get help from a man directly. She can't ever be in a vulnerable position where she needs him to rescue her, because it never ever happens in anything that Marvel put out now, or Disney in general. Which it becomes kind of restrictive when it comes to actually telling a story, because it's like whenever characters are put in certain situations, you know how it's going to play out because you know the rules that they're operating under. So it's like there's no real tension there because I know how they have to do things. Master of Puppets says, "Hail Drinker and diverse panel. Longman, looking forward to your next video. My girlfriend and I only made it 10 minutes into She-Hulk before she said, 'fuck this,' and put on Buffy."
Yay!
Brandon, let's go. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just funny to hear like messages of like, we're looking forward to the videos. Like, oh yeah, that thing came out. Hopefully they liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, when we were talking about Buffy there, they were going to be doing a remake, weren't they? But that's been cancelled now. Oh
Yay.
No. Yeah.
Give it, 5 years or so, and it'll circle around again, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brandon Lesko said, "Did I stumble into another drinking stream?" I mean, yes, all streams are drinking streams with me. Sanity Now says, "I didn't know until recently that you have audiobooks, so I'll be listening to Redemption on my drive to Atlanta's Dragon Con. Think Tampa Con times 10,000. My God, that's a big con." Yeah, well, I hope you enjoy the book, man. Thank you very much for ordering it. JP Fragoso said, "Hail Drinker and hello everyone, and Mauler. Quick question for all of you. Favorite movie you like that everyone else hates? Mine is Transformers 2. Also, have you ever seen Dragon Ball Z Abridged? I haven't, but
I have not.
Yeah.
And as for a movie I like everyone hates, oof. I mean, something that comes close, maybe. I think you can decide if this counts. I really like The Patriot. Whenever it gets brought up, most people say it sucks because it's historically inaccurate.
Okay. Yeah, that's the Mel Gibson one, isn't it?
Yeah. I enjoy it as a story, not as a description of history or anything.
I think it's quite on the nose at times when Mel Gibson like literally wins the Revolutionary War by killing a British with the Stars and Stripes.
Fucking impales him with a flag. Is that what he does? I'm trying to remember that. Oh no, he gets him with.
He definitely got it in his arms, like when he fights some. It's like, yeah, fuck you, America.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. He plants it in the ground as the horse is coming at him, and it stabs into the horse and fucks him up. Yeah, that does happen. Well, there's that, right. There's lots of campy shit in it, I guess is what I would say. But there's lots of good stuff in there as well. I found writing wise, just as a standard story stuff. Like, when was the last time you watched it? Do you remember?
It was probably when it came out, so it's got to be like 15, 20 years. I think
we'll throw that on the war arc. That is, I'm planning on setting up another one of that soon. By the way, finally,
I would watch it again because there's something that's just I've always found it really appealing, like these kind of battles done with muskets and stuff.
Yeah,
I think because there's something like insanely dignified about it that you shouldn't really get in war, but it's like having the balls to like march towards the enemy like in lines. And like reload these really awkward, cumbersome like muskets while people are shooting at you like literally 50 yards away. Yeah, it's just incredible stuff. It looks visually amazing. Yeah, I'd watch it again. I think I'd get probably a lot of entertainment out of it at this point.
What's yours then? Have you got one of those movies most people don't like but you do?
Yeah, mine's is Predator 2. That movie gets so much fucking hate, and I don't
Does it?
understand it. I'm on a crusade to get it the
Whenever I see it come
recognition.
up in chat, most people say underrated. Like,
I mean, people on my channel like approve of it, but then I'd kind of expect that. But I think the general consensus is that it's a pretty weak movie and it's not a worthy follow up to Predator, and that it's just kind of overlooked. Really, most people just kind of forget that it even got made. But yeah, I really like it. So I guess that would be mine.
Sorry, I don't know if you know this. I just saw on Twitter news: Ben Kingsley to reprise Trevor Slattery role in Marvel Studios' Wonder Man.
Fuck.
What the fuck is Wonder Man, and why is he coming back? Ben Kingsley. That'll be his third appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a clown.
He's not done humiliating himself.
It's not fair. He's such a good actor. It's not fair.
That actually did start me on a train of thought, right? When you were talking about movies that people hate. I think I kind of like Iron Man 2.
Okay.
Which is a strange one to say, but I like the arc that Tony goes on. I like the fact that it's not just like a big sky beam thing that they're flying. It's not like some celestial threat. It's just a guy in a suit. Although Whiplash is a pretty shit villain overall.
Needs work, yeah.
But yeah, I like the general thrust of the story. That Tony's been poisoned by the arc reactor and stuff, and he's like grappling with his family history, his legacy, and his mortality and stuff like that. I think that's good. It gives you Black Widow for the first time, and she's a very different Black Widow from what you get later.
Yes.
Damn, she's smoking.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I kind of like Iron Man 2, and I'd be interested to rewatch it again because it's been a few years since I've seen it.
I don't hate Iron Man 2. I hate Iron Man 3.
Yeah, I think everyone does. That one I'm not going to defend. DNA. Oh, fuck, how do you say this? Polyamerase?
This is not recognized.
What?
There's this thing that happens every once in a while. My TV apparently is voice activated, but I have no idea what the voice activation is. And so every once in a while, it just fucking yells at me. And I'm like, I didn't want you. Go away.
Jesus Christ. Hope it doesn't do that in the middle of the night or something. It's like you try to sleep and all of a sudden your TV's like, voice not recognized.
I think it's like there's a keyword, and I must have said something close to it. I don't know what it is, though. I'll have to check the manual at some point.
All right. DNA Polyamorous says, Drinker, do you know how awkward it is to be listening to Redemption while in your line at Tampa, only to meet you during a steamy desert sex scene in the book? Yeah. Just think of me with a big raging boner while I was writing that scene. It is a weird one, actually. Yeah, because there's a few sex scenes in like my books, and I try not to go down the fucking Mills and Boone road and just have it be all cliched garbage. But yeah, sometimes it's kind of necessary for the story, I guess. What can I say? And for me, like, if you do scenes like that in your books, like, what happens before it and what happens as a result of it is generally a lot more important than the actual like sex scene. But hey, man, if I get to write about boobs, what can I say? Got to take the opportunity. He also said, finished all 9 books and you stuck the landing. So there you go. I managed to do a story arc that went across 9 books in 10 years. So I didn't fuck it up too badly. So that's nice. It's good to know I did okay. Last Effect says Galadriel, She-Hulk, Rhaenyra Targaryen, Alicent Hightower. Out of all these female characters, which one is the best written one?
Well, I suppose we need some more episodes first, right?
Yeah. I mean, plus, yeah, we haven't seen Galadriel at all, really, apart from in trailers. So I don't know.
For now, yeah, I will wait before saying.
Reliable Take says, if Banner has the Hulk powers under control, why does he need an inhibitor?
He doesn't. I think what we were supposed to gather was He was in Hulk mode after Endgame. Then he applied an inhibitor and it put him back to human. The inhibitor broke in the car crash, went back to Hulk. And then he put her blood in his blood and it healed his arm. So he's stuck as Hulk now.
Was there some kind of line, and I think it was a very much a throwaway line while they're in the car, and he's like, yeah, I use this inhibitor so I can be in human form to help the healing of my arm. I'm sure there's some line of dialogue like that, so it's kind of implied that like if he's just in human form, the arm would gradually heal up by itself anyway, and that's why he's doing it.
It's really weird that they gave us an explanation that he was going to heal the arm with that, but then he also healed the arm with her blood, you know?
Yeah.
It feels like something you catch on a redraft where you'd be like, oh yeah, that's unnecessary. I'll just, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
because, yeah, it's not like it was implied that he was really bothered by it anyway, you know. And the fact that it happens off screen, it's just kind of anticlimactic, really, considering it was a pretty big thing for him in Endgame. But yeah, whatever. Who cares now? That's the real slogan for Marvel now. It's who cares. Brandon Lesko says Melanie Mac is not loading up the drinks. Pick up the slack, Chrissy and Critical. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I was having to make up for everyone, really.
I was drinking.
Well, that's good then. Yeah, Chrissy was drinking something, but I couldn't tell what it was. It was a can of something. Nathan Cassidy says a time hole is just another name for a time traveler who wants to correct the mistakes of humanity. Man, we got a lot of names for things. It wasn't until you pointed it out actually in your Doctor Strange review, where it's like we don't just have like realities, we have like realms, universes, multiverses, timelines. Like they're all just different names for the same thing.
Yeah, I remember that defense that's like all of the sorcerers were too stupid to realize that multiverse referred to things more than dimensions. And it's like, well, but the Ancient One knows about timelines. She talks to Bruce about it. So what is happening? Nothing makes any sense. This is so hard to keep track of. I thought it was really funny that she referred to a branching timeline as a reality, and then Hank Pym refers to the quantum realm as a reality. And it's like...
it's almost like they're making them up, like, for each movie.
Yeah, and it's like, don't think about it too much. And it's like, yeah, but you're making me think about it too much. You keep using it. You keep referencing it.
I need to make a video about why I hate sorcerers and magic in the MCU. I genuinely do. Because as a long-running mechanic in terms of like the world building and stuff, it just fucking destroys everything.
Yeah.
Because when you have sorcerers that now have essentially unlimited power that can cast spells that can do anything.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's not like a bias against the MCU. It's like if you had written, like if you would tell me about this sorcerer you were designing and he can just open up portals wherever he wants, the first thing I'd tell you, it'd be like, you know, that's incredibly powerful, right? You understand the applications for that. Like that's...
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna open up a portal inside Thanos and just like split him in half.
There's so many
won the Infinity War. Great.
Like they don't care. They only ever see it as a form of travel, and they never actually specify the fact that Michael Waldron thought as a writer, I'll just make it disappear. There we go. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And then he made Wong's disappear between scenes.
Well, it was when you had you referenced like Strange turning like water into wine.
Yeah.
At the wedding reception, it's like, well, okay, well, like you could turn a person's blood into bleach and kill them instantly. In that case, like, why wouldn't you just do that to your enemies immediately? This is the problem.
The demon cat head. What is that? Like, can we do more of those? I don't know.
Yeah,
what does that do to
like,
Thanos?
It's an entire movie filled with like the hyperdrive fucking ram, like the Holdo maneuver. It's just that.
I don't know if you know this, but like the most common defenses you get from people is like, it's magic, dude. Like, what? Yeah. Magic doesn't mean do anything you want whenever you want. Like, whose system for magic ever does that? And let me know if it's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, well, explain to me then why I should care about anything that happens. Like, whenever Strange gets put into a dangerous situation, why should I even remotely care? Because he can literally conjure any spell the writers want him to do.
I can help you out there. You should care because you'll be wearing anti-magic bracelets.
Oh, that ended me.
Did you enjoy seeing the clips of you losing your shit? I thought that was really funny.
I'm trying to remember the context as well, because I think I hadn't seen it at that point. So you guys were
Yeah.
having to describe what happens to me, and I was like, "No, it can't be this. It can't be the way you're describing it." And then I saw it, and I was like, "Oh God, it is."
The
It's
memory
worse.
store was just classic.
Memories.
I think the memory store is one of the easiest ways to translate to anyone how much of a shitty writing tactic that is. Just everyone's like, "Yep, I understand. That's terrible."
Yeah. God, that movie. Honestly, we could get sidetracked and start talking about that for the next 2 hours. So I better move on. Little King says, Mauler, what kind of mic do you use? You sound
80s
gorgeous.
Oh, I do? Sweet. Well, AT2020 XLR. That's what I'm currently using. I think I'm going to upgrade to the Shure microphone eventually, though. The one that Az has got.
This is a slightly redundant question, but how's the vid coming? Shall we expect a slight delay?
It's coming along pretty good. it's kind of out, but nearly got fully delayed by like a week. I was having loads of trouble, but I don't know. Copyright gods gave up. They were like, "Fine, you go ahead." And I was like, "Thank you very much."
The one thing I'll give Disney credit for is like they generally don't kick up too much of a fuss with copyright on things.
They are nowhere near as bad as Zephyr, who work for Universal. They are fucking monsters compared to Disney.
Paramount are bad as well, and so are Warner Brothers. They will hit you hard. Grand Wazoo says, Hail Drinker and this awesome panel. Oh, yes, it's Ladies' Night and the feeling's right. Yes, it's Ladies' Night. Oh, what a night. You could write a song about that, indeed. Toonie Boy says, speaking of She-Hulk, She-Hulking out during sex, it was established twice in the MCU that Bruce Banner can't be in a relationship because of the Hulk. He does say that to Nat. He's like, well, I can't have that kind of relationship. I can't do it physically.
Yeah.
I don't want to know the mechanics of it, but apparently she can. So, it's just a question of how flexible you're willing to be, I suppose. John Stater says, if a misogynist was writing these female characters in She-Hulk, would they be any different? I mean, they play into a lot of stereotypes.
That's what makes you wonder every time. You're like, why are you making it so hard to like the female characters, and then the male characters become kind of endearing in that they get shat on all the time and you feel bad for them.
It's like pity. The basis of any good character.
Yeah.
Grimnack says, Drinker, Mauler, and gang, I'm 27 today, getting old. Fuck you. I'm like 39. Wait till you get to this age. The Real Hydro PX says, Superman got groped in prison so they can demasculate him, and yet he still had more character development than any Mary Sue. Indeed so. That was a low point as well. I heard about that comic. Red Muskrat says, why is Scotland's national animal a unicorn? Also watch High Tension. I honestly don't know why that's our national animal, since it doesn't even exist. Maybe that means that Scotland doesn't exist and I'm just a figment of everyone's imagination. Who knows?
1 sec, I will be right back. Just going to the toilet quick.
Go, man. Next one is Brandon Lesko, who says, come on, Chrissy, commit a microaggression with a shot. We were trying to get her drunk, but she resisted somehow. Benjamin Tex says, been looking for some time. Really enjoy your observations. Enjoy some nice single malt with my money. I'll go away now. And that was for $100. So thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. And that's very good of you. Luke Bester says, I wish we got actual voice actors hired for TV shows and movies when they need it. That would be good, indeed. Glib Facsimile says, written by the same person who wrote Pickle Rick. Yeah, I'm going to wait for Mauler to come back on this one because I am a fan of Pickle Rick. I think it's a pretty good Rick and Morty episode. But I know it's a really contentious one. So I am kind of interested to get his take on it. It just depends, ultimately, on what he's going to the toilet for. He could be a while. So I'll give it a minute and see if he's able to come back. Just while he's away, I'll do the next one. Slack Attack says, between the Smart Hulk transformation and the spaceship, everything he does happens off screen. It really does, yeah. He fixes his arm off screen. Yep, it's a weird bit of writing, that first episode. Chungus says, which is more important to you as a consumer of entertainment? One, an intricate and compelling story with lore that's as shallow as a puddle, or two, rich, deep lore with a simple and weak story. Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of like how you can engage with it, I'd probably want an intricate and compelling story. And if that's good, you don't necessarily need a huge amount of world building and backstory and lore to make that work. It depends on the situation, obviously. If it's a fantasy story, um, you've got a whole new world there in front of you that is completely different from our own, in which case you're going to need the lore to make that work. But generally speaking, yeah, I would take a well-developed story over world building if I had to choose. Next one is Brandon Lesko, who says, let's see the bottom of the bottle. Everybody get after it. Let's go. And that was for $100. Thank you very much, man. You are far too generous.
I'm back.
You're back. Well, there was one I was going to ask you about, right? Because someone's referencing the fact that the showrunner for She-Hulk wrote Pickle Rick, which I'm a fan of. But I think that's a contentious one in the Rick and Morty community. I was just curious to see what your take on it is.
Pickle Rick episode is considered like, I guess, sort of a flashpoint for the show going from good to bad in terms of it's too aware of itself and how silly everything is and all that. The insight from that episode that comes from maybe the therapist versus Rick, a lot of people consider it way too on the nose, and it's not particularly well written because it's just observations about characters, almost like that we should be making, not the characters. But I've always liked it. I enjoyed it. I don't know. I mean, Michael Waldron's a Rick and Morty writer as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think the therapist aspect of it is probably the low point of the episode, but like I love how much they were able to cram into a relatively short runtime. It's like he's been turned into the pickle. He's got like the combat against the rats, like in the sewers, and then he's like fighting like the Russian mobsters and like the big fucking warehouse thing. It's like there's so much there, and you got Danny Trejo as like the mercenary that's brought in to like take him out. I think, yeah, all of that, like they crammed in the entire like plot of an action movie from the 80s into this one episode, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, I've always liked it personally. Next one is George Watkins, who says, what do you call it when Batman loses his faith in Jesus and stops going to church? Christian Bale. Oof. Yeah, I see what you did there. Ajax the Greatest says, by the end of episode 2, it feels like we're actively avoiding building character. These opportunities pop up and the writers say, don't answer that. I think that was a really weird moment where Jen goes into her new like flashy office and she's like, yeah, I've just been hired as a diversity hire, essentially. Like, no one respects me. This job's awful because like I can't appreciate it because everyone's going to be judging me. And then you've got her like weird asshole paralegal friend who's just like, yeah, but look at all the shiny stuff.
Exactly, dude. I feel like the writers aren't actually aware that that's the kind of friend that would be, I think in a good TV show, that friend, quote unquote, would end up being someone she has a big falling out with because they're really not invested in her. Yeah. Just the superficial elements of everything.
But it's like, yeah, is that how they perceive the world? Like these writers is like, yeah, but you've got a nice office and you make lots of money. That's it. Be happy.
I mean, it is interesting, right? Not being hired on your merit to instead be hired for some immutable part of yourself that has nothing to do with your character necessarily. Interesting that they highlight that. They're not doing anything with it, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. We'll see. It's funny because it feels like the show's using it as an opportunity to have a dig at men because she goes past the boardroom and it's filled with white men and she's like, oh yeah, they've never had to deal with this. And I think what they're playing on is like, well, don't you feel sympathy now for the main character? Like, oh, the burden that she must bear of being like hired as a diversity hire. It's like this isn't.
I mean, this
isn't giving us the message that you think it is. It's like what I'm taking from this is like those guys don't have to experience that because they
were hired on merit.
like they had to work their asses off to get to where they're at, and like you didn't,
Yeah, I think you're right. They're so incompetent at this. It makes it end up like being really awkwardly like they fuck themselves over in terms of the point they want to make.
The Rotten says, why do journalists, and that's in quotations, only focus on people review bombing with 1-star reviews when people shill bombing with 10s tends to be even more prevalent? Yeah, it's funny how it only ever swings one way there. If there's a whole bunch of like 1-star reviews, it's clearly review bombing. It's not just like people who didn't actually enjoy the show.
And, well, you're failing to understand. They're entitled to 10s. They deserve them. They should have 10s. They shouldn't have 1s. That's mean.
Yeah. Glib Facsimile says, get a Streamlabs drinker so I can give directly without Susan Wojcinski. Cheers to Mauer, the panel, chat, and Discord. Hope you're all doing well. I wonder if you guys will like the show I'm working on for Netflix coming next year. Well, I don't know. You have to tell us what the hell the show is.
No.
But yeah, like I don't know. There's a donate feature through Streamlabs, but I've never used it.
Well, yeah. If you set that up, I think their cut is like 5%. So,
right. Okay. Silo 101 says single female lawyer fighting for her client wearing sexy miniskirts and being self-reliant. That's pretty much it. Biolithic says your next shot of butter on Melanie. Talk about Irish cream. Yeah, Melanie's doing that weird keto diet thing where you can just eat entire sticks of butter, which I don't know, man. Like I've never felt like a deep abiding need to like eat butter just as it is. It doesn't seem like it'd be that appealing.
Apparently, Melanie does.
I guess it's working for her. That one guy says they need to work on their safety on set with people getting broken buttholes and all. Yeah, that was a strange thing to put out as a news article. Yeah, the last that was playing that weird girl that like charged into the courtroom and destroyed the place. It's like she broke her asshole doing stunts on set.
That sucks.
I don't know why you would tell people that. Like, you
Yeah.
know, I sustained a serious injury. Just kind of leave it at that. Like, I don't know. Amplify Create says, I worked with the actress playing Titania, and that's Jamila, on some photo shoots in the UK. Absolutely insufferable. Lots of eating and then going to the toilet immediately afterwards. That's just grim. I don't even want to think about that. Nick Hammerschmidt says, good to see some women and the great critics like Drinker and Wall are able to show how insulting She-Hulk is to both men and women alike. Keep up the great work.
Yeah.
I mean, I even put up a clip of that, like where they were just railing on it. I was like, just let them go. You know, they obviously don't like it any more than we do.
Plenty of women hate this show. It's not just men.
Yeah. The Grumpiest Man Alive says, have you seen The Vault, a 2011 YouTube series? I assume it's, I don't know, actually. The Vault.
Nope.
Have you seen that? No. I have not, I'm afraid. Emil Johansson says, 99% chance Emil is going to be evil at the end.
I think so, yeah.
Biolithic says, good lineup today, thanks. Thank you very much. Jen Mai Cha says, all of the beautiful women on the stream today almost cures me of the gay. Well, almost. They can't compare to Henry Cavill. Have a great day, ladies. I mean, well, what can we say? Henry Cavill is just dreamy.
He is, yeah.
Jens Anderson says, there's a suspicious amount of women here. Wait, is that a no bullshit quote?
It is indeed. The poster of Black Panther, he said there's a suspicious amount of women.
At what point does it go from normal to suspicious? That's all I don't know. XSL says, finally, MCU open bar. 2 girls for every guy. Yeah, indeed. It's all good. It's a good ratio to have in any place. Bumbling Bongo says, nicely done, lolling at the chess. There we go. Andrew Ostler says, told myself if Thor 4 was bad, I would be done with the MCU. So obviously I'm done with the MCU. It's more entertaining to watch you all trash the show than it would be to watch. Cheers. Yeah. I mean, I think probably for you, Mauler, like Doctor Strange was the more insulting movie than Thor.
Yeah, but I guess it's close. I'm happy to admit it's close. I think Guardians will be my one of like, is there any hope left? And if that's bad, it'll be like, no.
Yeah. Ofer Rafid says, "Hey Drinker, have you seen The Black Phone yet? I would love to hear your 2 cents on it." I haven't, I'm afraid. No, sorry, man. The Game Statistic says, "So is it better to spend my money on She-Hulk or some Papa John's?" Papa John's every time, man.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, if you spread that shit out, you can have it for like dinner and breakfast the next day. So that's more entertainment that you're going to get out of She-Hulk, that's for sure. Ryan Cannell sucks says, "Sorry, why does She-Hulk look like a 2000s Michael Jackson?" There was something that I don't think I mentioned actually on the stream with the CGI. Like, I know people rag on it for being pretty shit. It was the lip syncing that really put me off. Like the bits where she's just sat there in Hulk form, she's talking to her boss in the office. Her mouth doesn't match up with what she's actually saying. It's such a weird problem to have because you'd assume that it's just mocapped, but yeah. It takes you out of it. The Justice 35 says, "Love the panel. Shout out to that Star Wars girl with a question. What Warhammer 40k army did you paint up with that box set I got a while ago, and why was it the Blood Angels? And what 40k army did you play, Drinker? Ellie's gay, by the way, in case you missed it." Indeed. I don't know if Anna's into 40k. I've never heard her talk about it, but yeah, in my case, I had the Ultramarines back in the day, which in retrospect was like the most boring chapter ever. But yeah, I got them. Sorry.
I don't know anything about 40k. Sorry.
I wish I'd had the Space Wolves. They always look cool. John Ochiltree says, "Patrice O'Neill, I think, put it perfectly. Actors are just empty cups looking to be filled." Yeah, I think you can apply that to their brains as well. Ofer Rafid says, "Anybody saw Carter on Netflix? It's the worst spy action thriller political drama zombie mystery movie ever." Have you seen it, Carter?
No, but that sounds like a lot of genres.
Indeed. Leon K says, "Drinker, have you seen The Last Boy Scout?" Yes, I have. Great setup and payoff with 5 or 6 memorable scenes. Don't tell Muller who directed it, though. I actually can't remember who directed that, but I remember it being pretty good. It was Bruce Willis back when he gave a shit. Who directed this? Directed by Tony Scott. There you go.
Wait, why would I hate that?
No, it's like Tony Scott's good. Like, it was written by Shane Black as well.
Or maybe they meant written by, but at the same time, I like some of Shane Black's work. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, The Nice Guys. He can write some stuff. He just keep him away from established franchises, I think.
Yeah. Nvidia says, "Words of violence, catcalling, sexual assault." Apparently. Alistair WJ says, "There was a scene in Predator 2 where a strong female cop assaulted Bill Paxton's character by grabbing his balls. If that was in a movie today, you guys would accuse it of being anti-male and woke, etc." I mean, it's followed up by something that's distinctly not woke. When Paxton's talking about her, it's like, "God damn, is that bitch on the rag or what?"
Yeah, and you got she's like, I think she implies that was a bit much even from her end. She's like excited by the fact she got to do that, and then those two become friends. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I enjoyed that. I think it's fun. Dude,
I
it
think
reminds me of the Aliens thing, right? Where the woman gets given a bit of misogyny, if you will, and she throws it right back, and it's great.
exactly, yeah.
Bill Paxton in that scene is being a bit of a, like, what do they call it, horn dog sort of thing. And that's kind of what they go for in that film. He's you think at first maybe he's going to be a stereotype, right? Like a womanizer, but he's a lot more than that.
Yeah. He proves to be actually really good at his job and like pretty professional. And
I was very fond of his death scene. The way he tries to cycle the Predator around and away from the civilians while they get out. Like, he gives himself up so that everyone else can get out.
No, like I think his character had a good death in that movie, and yeah, man, add it to the list of Bill Paxton deaths in movies, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's the only man to be killed by a Terminator, Alien, and Predator.
Yeah, that is a pretty good distinction. He'll never top Hudson. Like, he went out like an absolute boss. Leon K says, I think he's probably making up for his previous comment. He says, hold on, Shane Black only wrote The Last Boy Scout. Yeah, I think that was probably the issue there. But yeah, Tony Scott, director, good director. So Nathan Cassidy says, the people who came up with the Captain Virgin joke are the same people who wish they could live the life of a porn star, but they aren't attractive or likable enough for anybody to bother with. I mean, yeah, that was a weird thing to focus on, like whether Captain America fucked or not. Strange. Amplify Create says, I've also been on a shoot with Haley Atwell. She changed several times. I saw her totally naked. And why? Because I'm I'm gay, so she didn't care. Sorry, straights. I mean, if that's true, you're a lucky man, gay or not. I think you'd still appreciate her. Damn. Yeah, she's a hottie. I'll give her that. Mr. Spenskar says, I appreciate tuning in on the stream to see Mauler surrounded on all sides by his objectivity harem. Yes, you too, Drinkler. Well, what can I say? You know,
sometimes the job has picks. What can I say?
Yeah. Michael Morgan says, so how many of these women on the panel were virgins until marriage, and why do we care about their opinions?
What?
I don't know what
care about our opinions.
Yeah, I care about them a lot. Like they gave good opinions on this panel.
Yeah.
Dianatos said, "What are the chances that Jen will bone Daredevil?" Oh God,
I doubt that, but you never know.
I'm just more concerned about how they're going to humiliate him. They're going to make Jen a better lawyer than he is, and fuck off. Yeah. Simon O'Leary says all these terrible attempts at making strong female characters while they ignore great characters like Rosie from Jojo Rabbit because she isn't killing Nazis like a superhero. Movie suggestion: Once Were Warriors, 1994. Cheers. Yeah, she was a good character from Jojo Rabbit. I don't know, man. I don't know what the thought process now is for writing characters like this, but it doesn't seem to be a good one.
Yeah.
Roscoe says, hey, Drinker, just got done watching you and Baggage Claim discuss female representation in media. Wondered when you'll have her back on. She seems to have the hots for you. Also, Ellie's gay, by the way. I mean, she's just got married, so I doubt it somehow. But she was a great guest to have on. And yeah, I would be happy to have her back on. I don't know, how well she'd fit into an open bar, but yeah, she was really nice to have on. So we'll get something sorted out, I'm sure. Ghost in the Craig says, Sheherlick is absolutely ridiculous. What the fuck? He's trying to write Sheherlick is absolutely ridiculous. What can I say? You're right. The Bits and Pieces man says, Mauler, I asked Drinker this, but what is your view on the cinematography of Titanic? He did ask me this, and I remember the question.
I think that film is pretty damn well directed when considering the entire operation, right? Like all the behind-the-scenes stuff that I've seen, I've been really impressed by. But in terms of just strictly cinematography, I remember thinking it was a pretty good-looking movie. I'd have to rewatch it, though, because I haven't seen it in a while.
It looks good. I love, because obviously Cameron's got a flair for action scenes and stuff like that. I love the whole, like, when they spot the iceberg and they're trying to put the engines into reverse, and it's all intercut with, like, all this machinery that has to go on, like the process of trying to put the engines into reverse and turn the rudder and everything. Yeah. It captures like the chaos and the panic of it all. I think it's brilliant. Yeah, I'd love to talk about Titanic, either in a happy hour or do a video on it or something, because yeah, like take the kind of slightly cliched, romance story out of it, and it's a fucking incredible disaster movie. Like, it's worth watching just for that. Ghost in the Craig says, so, am I the only one who was kind of turned on by the after-credit scenes in She-Hulk episode 2, her carrying those jugs of water and lifting a car? I mean, man, we don't kink-shame people here on this channel, so whatever floats your boat, man. James Moore says, wrong, Drinker. Chris didn't want to take his shirt off in Thor Love and Thunder, but Taika Waititi forced him to do it. There's articles about it. Is that true?
Wait, sorry. We talking about Chris Hemsworth?
Yeah.
As far as I knew, he didn't want to do it in Ragnarok. and Taika said he had to. I didn't know if that was happening in Love and Thunder though.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, like it was my understanding he's been training up to play like Hulk Hogan in some biopic thing, and so he was already in like incredible shape when he did this. So you kind
To
of
be
think,
fair,
well,
he's been
if
in
he
really
looks like
great shape throughout the MCU tenure, basically.
pretty much, yeah. I mean, you kind of think if you looked like that, you'd almost want to get your shirt off as much as possible. It's like, damn, I had to kill myself in the gym
Well,
to
hey,
look
there you
like
go,
this.
isn't it? That's the thing. Maybe he doesn't, because I know that what's his name, guy who plays Drax. He
Oh,
doesn't want to.
Batista.
Yeah, he's said he doesn't want his shirt off all the time anymore. He's getting old. He's getting on. He'd rather not.
Yeah, I mean, Batista's a weird one. He's a lot older than you think. I'm sure he's
Yeah.
like mid-50s at this point. I guess there comes a point where it's like, yeah, it's actually really hard work to stay in shape now.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. He's going to be in Dune 2, so he's going to do some serious acting in that.
Yelling.
Yeah.
You know, I hope Dune 2 is awesome. I want it to be.
I do. I'm pleased that it got made, or that it's getting made, because the first Dune, it didn't really make any money for the studio, and I'm kind of surprised that they greenlit a sequel. I guess they're hoping, like, well, when it becomes like a long running thing and a complete story, they can make money off like the streaming or the DVDs or Blu-rays, whatever it might be, and so it'll pay off in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, either way, at least we get half decent sci-fi, so that's something.
Yeah.
Russell Hall says, I've gotten to the point where I legitimately enjoy seeing how they're going to top themselves with each iteration. Looking forward to Rings of Power. We all are.
Yeah.
Cody Kawala says, I'm so scared for when they introduce Wolverine. Yeah, you should be. Russell Hall says, fingers crossed Neil Breen is a guest director. Sam Tums says, the She-Hulk videos by Anna are extremely well done, but she's a shadow ban, so look them up. A She-Hulk show has tons of potential. I'm sure it does. Like, from what I understand, the comic book character is pretty well received. Like, people like her.
Yeah. That's what I've heard as well. She's really funny.
Motalicious says, She-Hulk is Ali McBullshit. Not going to lie, yeah, you're probably right. Oni Baka says, speaking of She-Hulk review bombing, remember back in 2016 when the same was said about Suicide Squad by DC fans, and all the Marvel fans were laughing at how stupid that was? Time sure has changed. Yep.
Yeah.
Ghost in the Craig says, imagine a world of Disney and Don Bluth or just Bluth. Yeah. Thoughts on Fitness says, still recovering from Nina's 9-hour extravaganza. I mean, that's bordering on Longman territory, isn't it? Doing a 9-hour stream.
Most of the EFAB episodes don't even reach that these days, so yeah, she's doing well.
You guys are slacking.
Yeah.
Are you recovered after your 24-hour EFAP 200?
I don't even know anymore. The fact that I slept, got up for House of the Dragon, slept, got up for like I had to do something else IRL. I was just like, oh, what is sleep? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think after what we're doing tonight, I think I'm gonna go to sleep, and that'll be my first like proper, straightforward, actual sleep. You know.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man. I get to midnight. If we're not finished, we're cutting it off. We're done. Yeah, I need sleep as well. Geo the Ram says, I hate that it's the 4 kids argument. I grew up watching The Secret of NIMH.
Nim.
The Land Before Time, an American Tale. People ask, is this too dark for kids? If you don't show the darkness, you won't appreciate the light. Don Bluth. Okay. Yeah, I do. It does piss me off, this argument of like, well, you know, this show or whatever it's created for children, so it doesn't have to make any sense whatsoever. You know, one, it's not created for kids, and two, yeah, even children are able to like rationalize when things make no fucking sense. Like, yeah, it's like we remember being kids, but it's like we somehow don't apply that to other kids. It's like, I was smarter than they were, you know. Dean Domino says, might be wrong, but I think I heard that the Women in Animation Union / Guild was involved in the removal of high-level Pixar staff like Lasseter, the same group behind High Guardian Spice, and they operate like a mafia racket. Yeah, Anna was talking about Lasseter being removed from the head of Pixar. I don't know much about the guy, so I don't know what he was involved in, but yeah, I'm sure he got Me Too'd or something. The Happy Plague Doctor says everyone knows Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire did, just backwards and in high heels. Indeed. Shadow Chaser says, "You rule, drunkard. Greetings from Texas. Will your latest we'll get your latest book as soon as the nearest bookstore gets it together so that I can circumvent Amazon." Well, that is good good strategy, man. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the book. Thank you. Anger on the Red Angel says, She-Hulk, the deputy district attorney, doesn't want to work for the government. Not only does the DDA work for the government, they're literally the state government's spare beating stick. I'd have to take your word for that. I'm not really too up on the American legal system. Obviously, you are, Mauler.
Oh, yeah. I go over all the time. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah. Brianna Williams says, if she's a good lawyer, according to Marvel, then I better call Saul instead. I think that's probably good advice. Russell Hall says, Anna's been a Game of Thrones fan since the tower scene. Georgius Rex says, is it worse than Batwoman? Is Jen worse than Kate? That's a tough question, actually.
When you say Kate, you're talking about Kate Kane?
Yeah.
Because it could have been Kate Bishop, but I assume Kate Kane, yeah.
I think, yeah, Kate Kane.
I way prefer Kate Kane because she's such a bad actress. It was really enjoyable to watch her. Poor Ruby Rose. What a treat that whole season of Batwoman was.
Jasper Lane says, pretty much they race swapped the second worst character you could race swap. Game of Thrones has done it before and it was fine, but this time it makes no sense. It never does, usually. Wayland Bucephus says, Corlys is the head of House Valerian. Targaryens and Valerians wed for generations before the Targaryens even conquered Westeros, so it is pretty bad. Fair dues. Doomslaying Dempsey says, hey Drinker, just bought your new book. Can't wait to start reading it. Thank you. Have you read anything by William C. Dietz? His Legion of the Damned series is one of my favorite sci-fi universes of all time, untouched by Hollywood. Well, that can only be a good thing, but no, I'm not too familiar with that, my friend. I don't know. Sorrow for YouTube says, wow, first Marvel now open bar. It's girls' nights. Well, what can I say? You know, we're inclusive here.
Mm-hmm.
Ministry of Wrongthink says Jen is a deputy district attorney. Wouldn't she know A, not to assault people for simply saying hey there when she knows she can kill them, and B, she should put a disclaimer on her Tinder warning that if she gives you green wings, you'll literally die. She probably should, yeah. There's a lot in this show that you could probably pick apart, which we will do. Believe that. Jimmy Carter says, after The Northman's disappointing box office, do you think Robert Eggers will be unable to get another decent budget for his next project? That is a pretty valid question, actually, because, yeah, The Northman got a lot of critical acclaim, but it did not make money.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because he's a pretty good director. I want to see him make more stuff, but yeah, he needs to make something that hits a home run, you know, commercially. And that's a tough thing to do considering how he directs movies. So yeah, I don't know how he gets out of that.
Yeah, I mean, well, whatever got him to get those other films made at that point, maybe that's just going to be what he goes back to, as opposed to bigger budget things.
Rolando Ramirez says, Shad said that rules can change in jousting. His review speaks on some of the edict of the time that would make sense. We need to watch Shad's video then. He knows his medieval stuff.
Well, actually, he came on for the House of the Dragon discussion with Gary, and he was helping us out with a lot of the because like it seemed like there was cheating going on, but he said that there were times and potentials for the actions that are taken in that 20. So I was like, oh, okay.
I just find it hard. Well, I would say I find it hard to believe. It's obviously a fantasy realm that it's not meant to be applied to like real history, but like when knights are like literally, you know, they've been unhorsed and then they start just going at it with their fists or swords or whatever and killing each other. Is that why you would go into a jousting tournament? Like,
that's the thing for me. I think that they just needed to get us on board with it by having some characters in universe, maybe talk a bit about it. Because like if my son was like, I want to go fight in that tournament, and I'm like, if you can die fucking, I don't know, man. Like, I'm like, how worthwhile is that?
That seems like the kind of thing that should be done once, like as a shocking thing. Like, you know, it's jousting, you get unhorsed, but like you're meant to be okay because you're protected. You know, it's just
remember,
all about honor and competition. But then one guy takes it too far and kills someone else. It's like, holy shit! Like this dude's evil, clearly.
Do you remember in Game of Thrones when there's a joust and some of the splinters of one of the joustings goes into the neck of one of the guys and he dies, and that does seem to be shocking to everybody. It's like, oh no. And then of course when the Mountain tries to fucking kill Loras, but that seems to be literally illegal or something. People don't seem to be happy that that's happening, is my point.
Yeah. I was kind of, where was it? Like I was in the Tower of London, like when I was down in London, you know, back earlier in the year, and you know, they've got big exhibits of everything, and a lot of it is like about jousting that went on, and there's like a big suit of armor from Henry VIII that he wore because he used to love his jousting. And apparently he did it once without putting his visor down, and he took a fucking lance right to the forehead. And like they basically have suggested like it caused major brain damage, and that's why from that point on he started going a bit mad and like having people beheaded and stuff because like it fucked him up. And I was like, how did you even survive that? Taking the point of a lance to your fucking head. Jesus. Crazy stuff. Silky Crayfish said, I have a hot take, which is that The Dark Knight has a lot of objective plot problems. However, my friends think I'm just being picky. I wanted to ask you guys if you think The Dark Knight is flawed, or am I just insane? Thanks. I think Maul could probably answer this pretty well.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece. It's a great film. Nothing wrong with it at all.
There we go.
It's a beautiful film that everybody loves and thinks is the best Batman movie, and that's totally fine.
What do you think about The Dark Knight Rises?
That's terrible.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's got a lot of problems. I got a lot of shit for doing a bad review of that. And it's like, well, what do you want me to say? Like, there's a shit ton of stuff that happens in it that makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty famous for that when it came out. Loads of people thought it was shit.
Oh, that's good at least.
Yeah.
Aiken says, I like the dedication of your book to Lara. Yeah. I'd run out of family members to dedicate books to, so I was like, fuck it, the dog can have one. So there we go. She's got her own book. Liberative says, Drinker, where can I get that sweet Henry Swanson shirt? Excitement is my game too, and I need to let everyone know. Yeah. That was, I got that given to me when I was at Tampa. The problem is, and you probably couldn't tell from like the stream because I was, you know, sitting down, but it was given to me as an extra large, and like, I probably am like a medium or a large when it comes to t-shirts at most. So like this thing was like a fucking 10 on me, but I was gutted because it's so great. It's got Kurt Russell from Big Trouble in Little China just dressed up as Henry Swanson, and he just looks so pleased with himself. I love it. But yeah, you can get it. I think just do a look for it on Google Shopping, and you'll probably be able to pick up one. But yeah. It's I do like it. Mad Bum says, our hearts are bigger than our feet. Why would a hobbit adjacent creature make any comment on the size of their feet when in their culture that isn't considered to be abnormally large? That is a really good question. It's shit writing, really. Michael Morgan, who says, men age like wine, women age like milk, no doubt. I mean, I think that's a generalization. Like, damn, man, have you seen like Jennifer Lopez, or what's that girl that plays Fennec in Book of Boba Fett?
Oh, I don't know why I've forgotten her name. I used to know it.
Ming Na Wen.
That's it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's like 58 or 59, and she looks younger than me by a long way. Mm-hmm. So you know, it's.
She's got some experiments going on, some genetic magic.
Yeah, I hate her. Razno says, explain Mary Sue again. So, what, like the concept of what a Mary Sue is? I mean, can we explain that in the space of a few seconds?
I mean, the standard broad ones, from what I understand, are just loved by every character, even at times contradictively to what they probably should feel. every problem they face, they're already equipped to deal with and deal with really well. They're usually more powerful than most characters, and that's, I think, broadly, though, if you're hitting those, that's mainly it. But I rarely ever try to decide whether or not they fit that label, and instead just gun for the individual traits and be critical of them instead. Because people have gotten a bit weird over the term Mary Sue these days, where they'll turn off listening if they hear it.
Yeah. It's probably, well, it's like SJW or woke or whatever. Like, it gets overused to the point where it doesn't mean anything now, and yeah, it makes sense to just focus on the individual elements of them. James Leggett says, Drinker, thanks to you and your crew for keeping me entertained while I drove a van for 10 hours helping my friend and his wife move from Portsmouth to Brighton. Your videos made for relaxing miles. Oh, see, that makes us feel good. Chris Felix says, just wanted to say I'm a huge fan. Thank you guys for all your hard work. We really appreciate it. You guys are rock stars. Please don't ever stop. Well, thank you very much. I don't think we will until people stop caring. So, John Thomas says, Drinker, pre-Coof, there was an article about a Black Company movie with Elijah Dushku as the lady. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Do you think it would have been good? Probably not happening. So what is Black Company? Help me. Hold on. I'll look it up. So it is. It's a fantasy series. Right. So yeah, it's the first novel in Glenn Cook's ongoing series, The Black Company. The book combines elements of epic fantasy and dark fantasy, as it describes the dealings of an elite mercenary unit, the Black Company, with the Lady, the ruler of the Northern Empire. I mean, it sounds all right, but yeah, I don't know anything about it, so I couldn't really tell you whether it was going to be good or not or anything. The Horrific podcast says, I would love IP Man to appear on the final episode of Cobra Kai and recreate the Wing Chun versus 10 karate students scene. Well, who knows what will happen. I'm sure it'll be good either way. The Shadowling One says, with House of the Dragon, I'm really looking forward to Spoiler Demon and Coryllis going to war in the Stepstones, proper dragon warfare rather than the few scenes that we got in Game of Thrones. I don't know, man. I feel like dragons should be used sparingly because they're kind of like nuclear missiles in this world.
I guess we'll see.
Razino says, explain Mary Sue to them. Lol, Sterling here. Yeah, I think we just did. Grimstorm says, hi, back in the days, I liked a lot of English series Life on Mars. What do you think of it? And eventually, would you like a remake with today's budgets? I watched occasional episodes of it. I never was totally into it, but I remember it being pretty good. Is that where the guy kind of travels back in time and he's like stuck in the 70s? Yeah. Yeah, I think they were trying to, like, by the time it got to the end, they were trying for all kinds of like hidden meanings about the afterlife and stuff like that. And it was a bit weird. Varying Redbeard says, white wine for the ladies. Well, whatever they like. Mr. Vangerous says, randomly donating to support for the meme, She-Hulk is the wicked bitch of the West. Yeah, can't argue. CWAT Gill says, please do a StreamYards and add Collar and HV their opinion. Okay. Chris Felix says, can we admit that after Endgame that we all kind of knew that the MCU was destined to decline, but how could we have foreseen that it would fall this hard? I mean,
there were concerns, but I think we're all surprised, at least a little bit.
And the last one is from Rousno, says, please explain Rey Skywalker. I don't think we can.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Explaining why that all happened. There's so many things, especially considering she changed, several times in terms of what the creators were even doing with her.
Oh, it's hilarious. The whole sequel trilogy. I mean, it's good to know, though. I saw that Empire interview with Rian Johnson that he's more proud than ever of Last Jedi. That just reeks of cope.
Hey, man, I guess if things worked out in many ways in terms of it's thanks to him that we have as much influence as we have, I think.
I would say so. Yeah.
At least in
You know,
part.
we talked about this before, where it's like, you know, The Last Jedi, Game of Thrones, that kind of spawned our generation
Mm,
of movie critics on YouTube. But
yeah.
now we've got Rings of Power. That's going to bring about the next generation. And
Yeah, I think we can already see some people popping up that weren't there quite before and stuff, you know. But yeah,
yeah,
Rings of Power, this little arc that we're going to go on, plenty of fun to be had. Thanks, Amazon, I guess.
yeah. I mean, it's weird. It's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because you know that like if it was great or just middling, you know, it wouldn't really do anything for us. But like if it's going to be terrible, which it seems to be, um, man, there'll be a lot to talk about.
Hmm.
So it's almost like you want it to be good, but at the same time, you know that if it's bad, it'll be good for you. So it's weird. It's a weird situation to be in. But hey, you know, it's fun. I suppose we live in crazy times.
We do indeed.
But yeah, that we got through all the super chats. So hey, good stuff. And yeah, the next time you see me, I will probably be doing a happy hour. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a happy hour this Thursday, and we're going to be covering Last Action Hero
Can we have it on?
because it's going to be one of my patrons or Patreons or whatever you call them.
Hmm.
Yeah, a guy I've been talking to for a while, and he was interested in covering that movie, and I thought, yeah, okay, let's do that, because it's a film that was weird at the time, and I totally didn't get it when I was a kid. And rewatching it now, I understand a lot more what they were going for. But man, that movie did a lot of damage to Arnold's career. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one to review. I think
Hmm.
there's kind of a lot of things I want to say about it. So yeah, that'll be on Thursday. So that's what we got.
Sweet.
All right. Well, anyway, yeah, this is obviously offline, so you guys will all be catching this later. But yeah, I'll re-upload this to my second channel and get cracking with it. Thank you, Moeller, for joining me. It's been great to have you on as always.
No problem, sir.
All righty. All right. Well, that's all we got for today. So